Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the Michael Cera movie of all Michael Cera movies. No, not that one. No, not that one either. Okay, well, that one wasn't even that good, so no.
This is it.
Ah, yes. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, a film littered with extreme sexual tension, overly dramatic dialogue, and colorful fight scenes. Almost anyone could enjoy this movie, but for those passionate Scott groupies who read and reread the comics, the film serves as some sort of semi-shrine, a homage to the comic books. Well, sort of. It is safe to say that director Edgar Wright did not want his audience to forget that the film was adapted from a comic book. The director calls upon what Paul Crutcher emphasized in the article, complexity in the comic and graphic novel medium. That comics call attention to their own making, and they have self-consciousness, which is unique to the comics medium. A uniqueness Wright did not want the film adaptation to lose.
I couldn't stop thinking about my stupid ex-girlfriend.
Is that the Uma Thurman movie?
Scott.
However, a lot goes into a film adaptation of a comic. Transmedia storytelling is no easy task. Henry Jenkins, in Confessions of an ACA Fan, puts it in technical terms, writing, "Transmedia storytelling represents a process where integral elements of a fiction get dispersed systematically across multiple delivery channels for the purpose of creating a unified and coordinated entertainment experience. Ideally, each medium makes its own unique contribution to the unfolding of the story."
Oh, God. So alone.
You're not alone.
What?
You're just having some idiotic dream.
Does that mean we can make out? Oh, God. What is it, Scott?
Although the film does offer its unique contribution to the story, there are several characteristics, or integral elements, of the Scott Pilgrim comic books and comic books in general that show up in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. Roger Sabin, in Adult Comics, speaks on comics, noting, "They are their own language, with their own grammar, syntax, and punctuation." The constant use of onomatopoeias highlights this belief. The labeling used in the film refers to a trend noted by Goran Bolin, that media content or texts that previously were considered as belonging to a specific medium are today produced for audiences through a range of different distribution techniques. Thus, the labeling in the film nearly replicates the labeling in the comic perfectly. Panel-by-panel visuals emphasize the dialogue and/or characters. The visual engagement intensifies to highlight an important scene. As Bob Harvey writes, "What is chosen to be pictured necessarily acquires more dramatic emphasis than what is left out." In addition to the emphasis, panel-by-panel visuals create the sense that the viewer is actually reading the comic in that moment without having to physically hold it. It's a twofer. These techniques and styles used in the film pay homage to the comic rather obviously. However, another less noticeable way Edgar Wright calls upon the comic book is through the transitions between the scenes. Before we jump into it, let's see how other comic book adapted films display transitions.
So do I. Do you still feel responsible for your parents' death?
My anger outweighs my guilt.
In contrast to the displayed films, Scott Pilgrim does not rely on typical transitions to propel the plot forward. Simple transitions such as cutaways, L-cuts, and rotating camera angles aim to make the juxtaposition of scenes as smooth as possible and to guide the viewer throughout the story. Cutting between scenes like this is meant to support the story while not drawing attention to the transition itself. The transitions in Scott Pilgrim vs. the World act as almost the complete opposite. Instead of just supporting the story, the transitions serve as a part of the story, a piece of the plot. Multiple times throughout the film, The words used in the comic book to transition between scenes are used in the film to transition between scenes. Transitions are often used to simply get from point A to point B, not necessarily intended as a method of storytelling. However, Edgar Wright chooses to use the transitions not only to deliver the audience to another scene, but offer information on the upcoming scenes, characters, and themes, much like in comic books.
I'm not saying I want to go.
Hey, we can totally go.
I'll do whatever you want to do.
So let's go.
We really don't have to go to this thing. It'll probably be a bad scene all around.
No, I'm fine.
I think there's a thingy over here somewhere.
A thingy?
A door. Come on.
Sex Bob-omb wins.
Sex Bob-omb what?
So, what was all that all about?
And then it was time for Toronto to
Henry Jenkins writes, "Transmedia storytelling functions like a mosaic or puzzle that is assembled by the consumers as they travel across multiple media. Through the transitions, along with onomatopoeias, labeling, and panel-by-panel framework, the viewer pieces together the varying styles and techniques so that the integration of the comic book and film is, well, in our opinion, nearly flawless. The viewer is constantly reminded of the comic book and even encouraged to acknowledge the obvious connection. The connection allows the audience to balance the overly dramatic absurdities often found in comic books and the universal human emotions supported in the film. But, let's be honest, the only way Michael Cera and his soft, emotional self could win a fight would be in a comic book fantasy land anyway."
Right.